the world that never sleeps. Inside the iron heart of the Imperium, picture a planet where the horizon burns with molten light, and the skies are stained a permanent orange by endless furnaces. The air hums with the rhythm of engines that never rest, and the ground trembles beneath the weight of industry. Here, dawn and dusk have lost all meaning, swallowed by a ceaseless storm of smoke and metal. Welcome to a forge world, the industrial core of the Imperium of Man, a place where labor is eternal and rest is heresy. These worlds exist solely to sustain the Imperium's infinite wars. On their surfaces, continents are buried beneath titanic foundries, sprawling manufactorums, and cathedrals of steel that stretch from one horizon to the next. From orbit, a forge world burns like a coal ember adrift in the void, wed with rivers of molten metal and cities of glowing machinery. Down below, life crawls through a maze of colossal pipes, churning furnaces, and skeletal towers that pierce the clouds. Rivers have long since turned to poison. The air itself is metallic, unfit for unaugmented lungs. There is no wilderness here, no birds, no seas, only fire, smoke, and the pulse of machinery that never sleeps. The purpose of the machine worlds, at their core, forge worlds are planets wholly devoted to production, research, and the worship of technology. They are governed by the Adeptus Mechanicus, the priest engineers of Mars, a brotherhood of techno-religious savants who blend science with mysticism. Imagine an entire planet transformed into a single factory, a living engine of creation. Every tank, luskin, starship, and servo skull in the Imperium owes its existence to these worlds. If it wasn't built here, it was designed or blessed here. The Adeptus Mechanicus are both the guardians of knowledge and the keepers of humanities. Machines, a power parallel to the Imperium itself. The birth of the machine faith. It all began on Mars, the first and most sacred forge world. Long before the Emperor's rise, Mars had already become a world of machines and faith. When the rest of humanity fell into chaos during the Age of Strife, Mars endured, guided by the cult Mechanicus, who saw divinity in the machine itself. When the Emperor finally united Terra, he did not conquer Mars. He allied with it. Through the Treaty of Mars, the Emperor gained the might of the Mechanicus, and in return, the priests of Mars retained their autonomy and their faith. From that pact came a galaxy-spanning partnership, Mars supplying the Imperium's engines of war, and the Imperium defending the Mechanicus' sacred domain. A hierarchy of steel and faith. Every forge world is a realm unto itself, part empire, part monastery. At the top stands the fabricator general of Mars, spiritual and temporal ruler of the Mechanicus. Beneath him, a vast hierarchy of magos, tech priests, and engineers oversee planetary operations. Each world specializes in particular fields, weapons, armor, starships, or forbidden technologies. Yet all are bound by the same creed. The machine is holy, and labor is prayer. Forge worlds often have vassal forges orbiting nearby planets or moons, each contributing their share to the endless industrial symphony. Together, they form a web of faith and production that keeps the Imperium alive. life beneath the smokestacks. To be born on a forge world is to be born into duty. From the moment of birth, every citizen's fate is catalogued and assigned. The brightest are trained to become future tech adepts. The strongest become soldiers, skittery, or labor overseers. The rest spend their lives as menials, human components in the great machine of production. Generations live and die operating the same control panels, tightening the same bolts, or monitoring the same coolant pipes. Advancement is rare, unless a tech priest deems you worthy of cybernetic improvement. For the unlucky, disobedience has a far worse outcome. Criminals, rebels, or those deemed inefficient are repurposed into servitors, mind-wiped cyborgs fused to machines to perform mindless labor for eternity. On these worlds, nothing is wasted, not even human flesh. Yet even here, faith gives purpose. The workers believe their toil serves the emperor through the machine god. Too, work is to worship. Every wrench turn is an act of devotion, every spark from the forge a prayer of flame. The faith of iron. The cult Mechanicus teaches that the Omnissiah, the machine god, manifests through every functioning mechanism. Every cog, gear, and piston has a spirit that must be respected and appeased. Maintenance is not simply repair, it is ritual. A tech priest does not begin work by opening a toolkit, but by chanting the litanies of activation, anointing the machine with sacred oils, and invoking the machine's spirit. To outsiders, this may seem like madness, a strange blend of religion and engineering. But to the Mechanicus, it is sacred truth. Even innovation is restricted. To alter the holy blueprints, the ancient, standard template constructs STCS, is to risk heresy. Only sanctioned magi may experiment, and even then, only in the smallest increments. The memory of past catastrophes, like the rise of the men of iron, humanity's AI rebellion, ensures that true artificial intelligence remains the greatest blasphemy of all. The flesh is weak, the machine endures. As one rises within the Mechanicus, flesh becomes an inconvenience. High-ranking tech priests replace their bodies piece by piece, limbs with steel, eyes with sensors, voices with vox synthesizers. Many communicate only in binary cant, bursts of machine code that sound like static to human ears. To the laborers, these red-robed figures are both divine and terrifying, walking icons of the machine god. They rarely intervene directly, except to bless a reactor, punish a negligent worker, or oversee the consecration of a new factory line. An eternal engine. Forge worlds never sleep. Their furnaces roar day and night. Their assembly lines move without pause. Even the idea of weekends or holidays is unthinkable here. The forges must burn without end. For the Imperium's wars never cease. Production is a sacred competition. The most productive forge worlds earn titles of honor, such as Grade 1 Maximus, while lesser worlds toil endlessly to reach those heights. Failure means disgrace, or worse, inquisitorial oversight. What the forge produces, everything the Imperium uses passes through Mechanicus' hands. Starships, Titans, tanks, lasguns, armor plating, munitions, cybernetics, all are forged in these planetary factories. Each forge world has its own unique pattern of design, its own dialect of sacred engineering. A lemon rust tank built on Mars may differ subtly from one made on Risa or Lucius. Its armor alloys, tracks, or power core designed according to local interpretation of the Holy STC. To a trained eye, each pattern is a signature, a mark of pride and identity. On the battlefield, a quartermaster might recognize where a regiment's gear was born simply by the etchings on its armor plates. The heartbeat of a galaxy. Forge worlds are more than factories. They are the arteries of the Imperium. Without them, the Emperor's armies would starve for weapons, his fleets for fuel, his people for tools. They are worlds of endless labor and iron, faith, shrines of smoke, and metal where humanity's survival is forged one rivet, one prayer, and one scream at a time. For in the far future, where there is only war, the machine never stops. The heart of the machine, secrets, power, and the legacy of forged worlds. Across the Imperium of Man, few places are as vital or as mysterious as the forged worlds. To the average soldier, a tank is just a tank. A weapon is a weapon. But for the Adeptus Mechanicus, every machine bears a sacred identity, a pattern passed down like divine lineage. Each variant, each design, is part of a holy genealogy of technology. To the tech priests of Mars, swapping components between patterns isn't merely inefficient, it's blasphemy. Even if a foreign part fits, it's seen as impure unless proper rites of reconciliation are performed. In their eyes, machines are not built, they're born, sanctified by ritual and the blessings of the machine god, the divine forges of creation. The forged worlds are not simple factories, they are temples of fire and steel, capable of crafting the most complex and devastating instruments of war in existence. The Titan God engines, for example, are beyond the capabilities of any normal world. These walking fortresses, towering dozens of meters high, can only be forged on planets blessed with the greatest magi, immense foundries, and centuries of sacred knowledge. Only a select few worlds hold such privilege. Griffin 4, for instance, housed the Titan Legio Gryphonicus and possessed the means to create and repair their godlike machines. Mars, the cradle of all technological faith, hosts multiple Titan legions and remains unmatched in mastery. Other forges have carved their own specializations, the vaults of sacred knowledge. A forge world is not merely a place of production, it is a cathedral of memory. Deep within its metal labyrinths lie data vaults and archives, storing schematics, machine spirits, and fragments of lost wisdom. Whole sub-cities exist purely for preservation, filled with red-robed monks linked by cables to cogitator cores, endlessly copying, cataloging, and repairing decaying data. Some worlds devote a third of their infrastructure to data storage alone. Knowledge is sacred and restricted. Only the worthy may access the deepest archives. A lowly adept may maintain Alaskan, but the code that drives a Cybernetica robot is reserved for magi of high rank. The Mechanicus shares information only when it must. Even the Imperium itself often receives products, not blueprints. If the Imperial Guard requests a new virus bomb, the Mechanicus will provide it but never the design. Secrets are the true currency of the machine cult. when forges go to war. To conquer or lose a forge world is to shake the Imperium itself. These planets are both arsenals and fortresses fortified with void shields, planetary lasers, orbital missile grids, and legions of cybernetic soldiers. The skittery legions, augmented warriors of flesh and machine, defend their worlds with unmatched precision. Some are sniper augments with optical implants. Others are hulking servitors bristling with weapons. Many forges also harbor Titan legions, the ultimate defenders of the machine god's faith. When these god machines march, entire enemy armies crumble in awe and terror. The fall of Griffin 4. One of the darkest chapters in Mechanicus history was the siege of Griffin 4. When the Tyranid Hive Fleet Leviathan descended, the planet's factories turned into front lines. Tanks rolled off assembly lines directly into battle. The Titan Legio, Gryphonicus unleashed their god engines in a desperate stand against the endless swarm. But the tide was unstoppable. As the world fell, the tech priests purged data vaults, destroyed sacred machinery, and erased their knowledge to deny it to the Xenos. When the dust settled, Griffin 4 was dead as silent tomb of steel and ash, consumed by alien hunger. The loss of such a forge was more than material, it was the death of a saint in the eyes of the Mechanicus. The wars of the machine. Many wars have revolved around Forge worlds. During the Sabbath Worlds Crusade, Forge World Erdish became the focal point of a brutal conflict. Chaos forces sought to seize its forges to fuel their own dark legions. Titans battled corrupted counterparts amidst the molten smog. Though the Imperium eventually triumphed, it came at immense cost and through divine intervention. If the records are true, the Horus heresy saw the greatest divide of all. Mars itself turned into a war zone as half the Mechanicum sided with Horus. The Dark Mechanicum was born heretics and demon forges, who traded purity for forbidden power. The loyal forges endured, though paranoia has haunted the priesthood ever since. Mysteries beneath the metal. Not everything in the forges is known or spoken of. Legends whisper of the Noctis Labyrinthus, a sealed maze beneath Mars where something ancient sleeps, perhaps even the machine god itself. Other worlds harbor their own buried relics, half-corrupted STC fragments, forbidden AI constructs, or prototype superweapons too dangerous to use. Some forges feature mobile factory cities crawling across their poisoned landscapes, or skyhooks, massive orbital elevators that stretch into space. When such a spire falls, it can slice through continents like a sword of the gods. The endless quest for knowledge, driven by faith and obsession. Forge worlds launch explorator fleets into uncharted space. These expeditions seek lost human colonies, ancient data, or alien artifacts. Their findings can elevate a forge to glory or spark wars between rivals. One infamous case involved a rediscovered STC fragment describing a new weapon. The rumor alone triggered sabotage and espionage among 3 forges before Mars claimed it for safekeeping. The beating heart of industry, life and labor on a forge world. It may lack the grandeur of a Titan Legion or the secrets to end worlds, yet its importance cannot be overstated. A planet like Voltanus doesn't boast billions of souls or sprawling Titan legions, perhaps only a few million inhabitants, and a handful of mighty engines. It might even exist in the shadow of a greater forge world nearby, functioning more as a loyal vassal than an independent power. Voltanis would pay its dues in loyalty and resources, earning in return the protection and guidance of its more influential neighbor. Its tech priests would send endless pleas to Mars or higher forge worlds, requesting access to the newest, standard template construct designs or additional skittery units to guard their laboratories. Daily life for the people of Voltanis might seem almost merciful by Forge World standards. Fewer toxic wastelands, perhaps a small oxygen park or two. But the spirit of devotion and endless work remains unbroken. When war comes, Voltanis is not a target for annihilation, but for theft. Eldar raiders might strike to seize a rare device. Orcs might descend to plunder a prized tractor beam from a research foundry. Even the smallest forge worlds face their own battles and bear their share of burdens. Throughout Imperial history, hundreds of such worlds have been recorded. The pattern is unmistakable. Each forge world serves as an indispensable pillar of the Imperium. Each contributes something vital, and each suffers from the same unending hunger, the need for raw materials. Engines that never sleep. A forge world's furnaces and refineries consume incomprehensible amounts of ore, fuel, and chemicals. Within millennia, most strip their home planet bare. But the great work cannot halt. The tech priests simply look outward to moons, asteroid fields, and even the swirling gases of giant planets, searching for sustenance to feed their forges. Across the void, colossal cargo ships ferry minerals, like veins pumping lifeblood into the forge world's heart. Endless chains of barges and shuttles rise and fall through the smoky skies, delivering tens of thousands of tons of ore every hour. If local resources fail, the Mechanicus is not shy about reaching further. They barter within the Imperium's vast economy of tithes and favors, offering weapons and technology in exchange for raw materials from mining or refinery worlds. And when diplomacy falters, force follows. The Adeptus Mechanicus has waged more than a few resource acquisition campaigns, pressuring governors, redirecting convoys, or outright seizing mines to keep production alive. No Imperial commander dares defy them, after all. Without the Mechanicus, there are no replacement tanks, no weapons, no war. When the forges run dry, should a forge world face catastrophic shortages, the Mechanicus can appeal directly to Terra itself. They may be granted dominion over a newly discovered, resource-rich planet, converting it into a massive strip mine or even a newborn forge world. It's a monumental feat, rare in these decaying ages. But history remembers times when such endeavors reshaped entire sectors. Work without rest. And amid all this devotion to production, one might ask, do tech priests ever relax? The answer is, not really. Recreation, as humans understand it, is nearly non-existent. Leisure might mean a short maintenance break to realign bionics or a brief prayer to thank the Messiah for another day without meltdown. The boldest among them might attend a day to him concert, binary chants and screeching, modulated tones that sound like ancient machines singing. A truly daring Magos might run an engine a fraction above safe limits, just to feel the thrill of efficiency. But to most, idleness is heresy. Unlike hive cities, where workers pause and indulge in sin when shifts end, a forge world never stops. The lights never dim. The machines never fall silent. The air vibrates with the constant hum of labor. Those few who leave the forges often find silence unbearable. They lie awake on distant worlds, missing the rhythmic pulse of engines. To them, quiet means something is broken, or worse, dying. Rust never sleeps. The cult Mechanicus lives by an ancient creed. Rust never sleeps. Entropy, decay, and failure are ever-present threats. To stop working is to invite death, both spiritual and mechanical. For the forge burn, constant motion is not just duty, it's survival. A silent forge feels like blasphemy. To pause is to tempt rust, and to tempt rust is to betray the Omnissiah. Heaven in the heat of industry. To outsiders, this life might appear as endless torment, a world of choking smog, ceaseless machinery, and inhuman toil. But to those born within it, the forge world is sacred. They pity those on agri worlds and pleasure worlds who live soft, idle lives. What purpose could they possibly have? The forge burn wonder, if not to serve the great engines, the sacred machinery of survival. In truth, forge worlds are the unsung heart of the Imperium. Without them, everything collapses. The armies, the ships, the very survival of mankind. Every bolt shell, every Luskan charge, every plasma coil exists because a legion of red-robed workers toiled beneath iron skies to create it. Their sacrifice goes unseen, but without their hands, humanity would perish. The final reflection. Forge worlds embody the Imperium's greatest paradox. They are monuments to human achievement and prisons of its own making. They preserve ancient knowledge while fearing innovation, exalting reason yet drowning it in ritual. Each forge world is both a triumph and a tragedy. Billions, living as mere components in a divine machine. Their humanity consumed in service to a greater whole. There is poetry in it, grim, beautiful, and utterly human. In a galaxy devoted to extinguishing mankind, humanity survives by becoming the machine, by replacing flesh with steel, devotion with circuitry, and rest with endless duty. So, when you picture the vast armies of the Imperium clashing with alien hordes, spare a thought for the unseen worlds behind them, for the roaring furnaces and glowing conveyor lines, for the nameless souls who labor eternally so that others may fight. On those smog-choked worlds, beneath skies forever blackened by smoke, the great work continues. Ceaseless, sacred, and eternal. For in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war, and for the Adeptus Mechanicus, there is only work.